to take a minute to load, and we'll come back to kicking that off in a minute. But now let's look at setting up the Android SDK. So we need to first go out to the Android SDK, which will be developer.android.com. So you want to install Android Studios. So you click the button, download Android Studios, and it'll look like something like this once you install it. So once it's installed, you'll start up Android Studio. And while that guy's starting up, we'll jump back over here to our Metro bundle for a moment. There we are. So we have our Metro. We're going to close our old iPhone X, get rid of that guy, and we're going to run on an iOS simulator. It may go back to iPhone X because it wasn't already loaded. Yep, okay. So we should see iPhone X open again. Let's see, Android, where'd you go? Oh, there's iPhone X. We'll close our 12. X code. Close some of these. Try again. There we are. Okay, so we have Android Studio open. Once it opens, we need to go to the configure option down here. The first thing you want to do is select the SDK manager. And the SDK manager tells you the different software development kits that are installed. So you want to make sure that you have the Android 11 or the latest Android version of the software installed. Then you want to go to the SDK Tools tab here. And then you want to make sure that you have the Android SDK Build Tools selected, the Android Emulator, the Android SDK Platform Tools, Android SDK Tools, and if you're on an Intel-based or testing an Intel-based emulator, you want to also check the Intel x86 emulator. Now, if you have the new MacBook Pros with the M1 chip, you need to do one additional step here. You need to go to the SDK update sites, make sure that all these are installed, then click OK. Now, when we go to actually configure our device, we need to go to configure the AVD Manager tab or Manager button here. And this gives us our virtual devices. Now, because I am on an M1 Mac, I need to create a new virtual device. We want a mobile device with the Play Store so that we can install Expo on our mobile device. So we'll take Pixel 4. Next. We want to install the Android operating system. Now, if you're on an Intel-based Mac or an Intel-based Windows machine, you want to install the x86 operating system. However, if you're on Linux or an ARM-based laptop, you want to go to Other Images and make sure you install the ARM 64-V8A operating system. If you do not do this, you will not be able to run the emulator on your machine. Click Next, give it a name. You can start it by landscape or portrait. I just leave it as the defaults. So here we have a Pixel 4 phone with the Android ARM build. So ARM is for the Linux or the M1 Max. So click Finish. Once it's set up, click Run to make sure your emulator. And here we now have our Android emulator running. Now I can close out of my Android Studios. Let the Android emulator start up. And now, if I go back to Metro, it's over here, room. So now, if I click Run on Android emulators, it's going to install Expo and load our application. Now, one step I did leave out is on Mac and Windows, you'll need to make sure that your environment is set up correctly to actually use the Android emulator. To do that, you can go out to Terminal or Command on Windows, and you want to enter or edit the environment path. So on Mac, I need to go to my profile directory, and we need to edit our zbash the RC, and we need to make sure that we add the path export Android SDK and use the path that was provided in the Android software. And then we also need to add not only Android SDK, but add to the path users, your library, the Android and SDK. Without this, Metro will throw an error again saying it cannot find the SDKs. Close. Exit out of that. Now, once Expo is installed for the first time, you get this wonderful little kind of welcome menu here. And what this is telling you is this will tell you how to use the Expo software on your virtual device or your mobile device. So if you're actually on your physical device, you just have to shake the device and it will pull up this little menu here. So you can go to projects, search, you can share with people. Right. Start running it again. There it goes. So now we have our application running on Android and iOS. And if we wanted to test our application on a physical device, we could scan this code here with our phone app, and then you will see Expo install on your device, and you will see this live on your physical device or in your browser. So if we want to make changes to the project, we need to go back into code. And here is the text that's currently being displayed. Open up app.js to start working on your app. So here it is in iOS. Minimize this guy just a little bit. And let's do the same thing for Android app. Now, let's change our text here to be Hello World. And save. And it is immediately deployed to iOS and Android. Why are you not? redeploy that back to Android. There it goes. So now you see we have it on hello world, and if we go look at our web, hello world. So it's real-time testing, real-time development. So as you make changes and save, it immediately updates all your devices. Now, if you have any problems, you can go back out to Metro and you can republish the project, which will install the application to all the devices. Sometimes you have to do that if the device gets hung up, or as you saw, every now and then Expo kind of flaked out on me on the Android emulator. So this is just kind of a quick how-to on how to get going with React Native. Now, for debugging purposes, because it can be deployed in a web browser, you essentially can use your development environments in your browser to actually debug your application. You can bring up your Chrome development tools here, and you can debug your app this way. Or you can load, closed it, that React Native debugger, which is a standalone debugger without needing the browser window open like this. So it's a little less memory intensive and more debug friendly than the browser sometimes. So with that, pull back up my slides. Yeah. So does anyone have any questions?
Are you gonna? You had a bunch of links. Are you gonna include that in the? I guess the notes as you go through this, or is it in the slides?
It's in the slides right here. And it will also be well, and it'll also be in the blog when I publish it.
Okay, especially because some of those things like the like Expo and some of those kinds of things were, especially as you got into the plugins and things like that, that may be useful to.
Well, it's actually funny because the plugins, the Expo, mainly for your device. Like if you actually were to scan that QR code, your phone would come up and it would, if you don't have Expo installed, it should take you to the Expo app. Or it'll give you the link saying that you need Expo. They really made it pretty straightforward. And as you saw, I didn't even have to install it in the Play Store. Earlier versions of this, you had to actually physically go into the emulator, go into the Play Store, and actually download Expo first. But it's getting to be where it's pretty streamlined now.
Yeah, it seems like React in particular has changed a lot. There's a lot of work going on there, so it changes fairly regularly, and does seem to be getting better on a regular basis as well. So, okay, yeah, because that's part of it. Is it's just it is one of those that it's a little bit feels like drinking from the fire hose to get it set up, but then of course once you get going, then it's pretty straightforward. So cool.
Right, and like I said, this is just a quick start, getting you started. And I'll have some additional courses on actually getting in, adding components, doing debugging, things of that nature. So this is just strictly getting started, getting your environment set up. And yeah, I'll add the link to the Expo as well. It's on that main site that I showed you for React as well. Actually, I think it's, yeah, so I think if I copy that, yeah. So you have to actually do this inside of Expo. Place. Shake. If I shake it and go to home, so as you let me make this a little bit bigger here. So when you copy that QR code or you copy this link, if you do the QR code, what's cool about that is if Expo's not installed, it will then take you to the App Store and have you download Expo. If you already have Expo installed, you can then add a project and paste in the link or type in the link that is over here, the EXP192168. And then you can put it in your project. So what's cool about this, though, is you can actually have Expo running multiple applications. So you can actually test different apps simultaneously. Not really the greatest idea, but if you're just doing QA or testing, it's actually a very, if you're a tester, it makes it easy for you to jump back and forth between apps without having to reload the app time and time again.
So React is strictly for mobile apps, isn't it? Or can it be used for, let me say, regular software development or something like that?
Well, no, React Native can be used for web apps as well, because this is a web page.
Oh, okay.
So here we have it on a web and on an Android phone and an iPhone. And I could even do it for Apple TV. I could do it for pretty much almost any mobile type or iOS device and Android device. Good questions. Any other questions?
So is this something that has been around for some time? I mean, I've heard about React, and the only thing I saw that you didn't download was Angular, probably, because I've gone through a process like this, downloading Visual Code or something like that. So I was wondering whether React has been around, or the native, React Native.
React's been around for a while. React, that's your... So React has been around, probably, I don't have the actual date on here. It's been around for quite a while. React Native, Facebook added on to that. I'd probably say what do you think, Rob? Maybe a couple of years now, 3-4 years?
Yeah, I don't remember, because it's sort of, to me, because I was not really in React initially, and didn't really, I mean, it was just stuff that I saw buzz about it. And it was somewhere along the way where it became React Native. It has to have been at least, I'm trying to think back, at least 3 or 4 years ago. And it's probably
still there.
Good deal before that.
I mean, React is still there. I mean, React is still used for.
Oh yeah, it's used a lot. I've used React in several little projects here and there, as well as React Native. It's just React Native is just a piece on top of it. That's probably not exactly correct, but there's and React's used in a lot of places. Not React Native, but actual React is used. I think SharePoint uses it pretty extensively. And there's several other platforms like that where React has sort of become the I guess the JavaScript of choice, and it is once you get into it, and we'll see that I think in future of these types of sessions and tutorials, is it actually is a pretty powerful and maybe not necessarily the cleanest. It's maybe not as formal as, like, if you come from a C# or C++ or Java background, but it's a pretty solid language. It's got a lot of contributors, and as far as I can tell, for the most part,
2-3 years. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say and I'll stop my verbal rant here a little, whatever. But as far as I can tell, the stuff that you learn as part of React transfers very easily over to React Native, and vice versa. The tools are a little different, but they are, definitely very, very much in the same line.
Well, React Native is pretty much built on top of React, so it's kind of like C and C++. So it's like a bunch of mobile libraries built on top of the core. So if you know React, you'll have no problem doing React Native, and kind of vice versa. The only difference is you'll have different APIs going backwards to React. You'll be doing things just a little bit differently than you would with React Native.
Yep. Yep. You've got a little bit. Yeah. It's probably very much like a C++ and C kind of thing, is where there's going to be slightly different libraries that you have available and things like that. But a lot of them, they will work for both. So it does make it, like I said, it tends to be a pretty smooth transition from one to the other. And for people that I know that are, quote, React developers and have done React Native as well, it does seem that it's pretty seamless transition. The difference being what you would expect, which would be things like if I'm building a web application, I have very different resources available from a mobile application, and vice versa.
Yep. It looks like React Native maybe has been around for 6 years, but like the updated copyright like 2 years ago. So yeah, I would probably say it's probably become very popular in the last 2 to 3 years. I mean, again, it was probably more for Facebook internal use, and then once they figured out it was, they got most of the bugs worked out, they probably opened it up to the public. All right. Any other questions? All right, with that. So today we went over what is React. We looked at the different things that you can use React for versus native development. We also kind of walked through a quick start guide on how to set up your environments and get React Native working for you locally so that you can actually start getting your hands dirty and developing mobile apps. We covered some of the quick basics, and we did our hello world. And as always, we would like to thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time, and if you'd like to discuss any of these topics further or any of our other topics from our other classes, you can send us questions, comments, or suggestions through any of these methods. You can reach us via email at info@developernerd.com. You can reach us on our webpage at developernerd.com/contact us. We now have a YouTube page at youtube.com/channel and this gobbledygook here. And Vimeo, we're also on vimeo.com/developernerd. Our goal is making every developer better. Have a great day.